So this question says, in the U.S. Congress, the number of representatives is 65 less than 5 times the number of senators. There are 535 total members of Congress. Find the number of senators and the number of representatives. And so often, a good way to start a word problem is to work backwards. Because a lot of times, not always, but a lot of times, the final sentence will give you where it is you're going, and it'll even give you your variables sometimes. So in this case, I know that when we're done, we need two answers. We need to know the number of senators and the number of representatives. So let's go ahead and set ourselves up to know where we're going before we start. Senators and representatives. And we need to answer both of these questions when we're all done. And again, working backwards, it says here, there are a total of 535 members of Congress. And by saying total, that kind of tells me if I were to add them together. So I know, and again, let's go ahead and brainstorm this. Let's write this out. The number of senators plus the number of representatives is going to have to equal 535. So I have a little more information now. Well, how do I know how many senators? How do I know how many representatives? Well, that's the main part of this question, isn't it? It says the number of representatives is 65 less than 5 times the number of senators. And so if, and I don't, but if I knew the number of senators, I could take that number and I could do what? I could multiply it by 5 and subtract 65. Well, normally when you have a word problem, the one that you can say, if I knew that one, is the one that becomes your variable. So let's let senators equal x. I could let it equal s or whatever else I wanted it to be, but I'm going to let it equal x. And if once I know that x, I'm going to take it and I'm going to multiply it by 5 and subtract 65. So representatives is equal to 5x minus 65. And so we're kind of ready to go now, but notice we spent time figuring out what it was that the question was asking before we went straight to setting up an equation. So here, the number of senators we know to be x, plus the number of representatives we know to be 5x minus 65, and then the total is 535. So now I'm ready to solve it like any other equation. I simplify both sides, and here I have to combine some like terms, and I get x plus 5x is 6x minus 65 equals 535. And now I need to add 65 to both sides, get all my variables on one side and all my constants on the other, and that gives me 6x equals 600. And I divide both sides by 6, the coefficient of x, and I get x is equal to 100. Oops, 100, not 1,000. And that tells me that the number of senators is equal to 100, and the number of representatives is equal to, well, I'm going to plug in 100 for x, so it's 5 times 100 minus 65, and when I put all that together, follow my order of operations, that's equal to 435. So there are 435 representatives and 100 senators.